Hey everyone, welcome to today's Program Yourself Thin podcast. Today we're talking about you can't change all at once. I know you want to. I know it sounds great. I know you think you can, but you can't. And I think recognizing that right from the beginning is really smart because that's going to cause you to change your whole approach. And I think that's going to help you in a lot of ways. Now, again, we have to understand the diet industry has conditioned us our whole lives to just change everything all at once, right? Dive into your new plan, dive into your workout program, new you, new me, all new stuff, right? And you're going to be a totally different person. But that's impossible because change takes time, because change is more complex and layered than just changing one thing. And to say, oh, I'm just going to change my eating is so minimalistic, right? It takes something that is so comprehensive and so big, and it just boils it down into just one little concept. And therein lies the problem. It would be like saying, oh, I'm just going to become a lawyer. I'm just going to become a doctor. Okay. So I'm going to learn the piano. Okay. Sounds easy, but the reality of that is you have to do lots and lots of little things over a lot of period of time. And that's the truth about changing your weight. It's not just about changing your eating. It is on one level. I mean, becoming a doctor is just about becoming a doctor. On one level, that's a description of it. Right? Becoming a lawyer, yeah, become a lawyer. It's like, yes, that definition is accurate in this most simplistic, minimalistic sense. But in the real world of being an actual human, it means virtually nothing. It is the most top level 10,000 foot view of something that exists. And in actually creating change in your life, to think on that level is one of the cruelest things you can do to yourself, because again, it takes all the actual work, the details, the little things, the setbacks, the genuine challenges you're going to experience, and it just wipes them away. And it says, oh, I'm just going to change my eating. Okay, well, what about your mindset? What about your belief in yourself? What about your strategy for changing your eating? What about the idea that you're going to completely change how you eat without knowing a lot about nutrition, a lot about glucose levels, a lot about diabetes, a lot about insulin, a lot about nutrition, a lot about micronutrients, calorie density? I could go on and on and on. And the truth is that most likely you don't know a lot about these things. And so we have to stop minimizing it and thinking we can just change in one day. You can start one day. You can start walking the path in one day. I'll give you that. But you can't master the whole thing in one day, in 1 week, in 1 month. And I think thinking that way is just setting you up for failure. I always put it in the context of college. If you ever went to college, having that sense of 2, 4, 6, 8 years in your mind was crucial for you to complete it. Because if you didn't have that time frame in your mind, you're always saying, how come I haven't learned it yet? How come I haven't learned it yet? What's wrong with me? How come I haven't learned it yet? How come I haven't learned it yet? And you have this ridiculous time frame in that scenario that will prevent you from succeeding. And so a huge part of that, taking on college, for example, is that you have a time frame that comes with it, a long time frame. And when it comes to your weight, it's the exact opposite. You're looking about how much weight did I lose today because I ate well today. You know, and you have this idea that you can just completely change your eating in one moment. You can't. And I think the more you realize that, I know at first it feels discouraging and destructive. Oh, what a letdown. Which should make you realize, that that's a crazy idea. But once you start to realize it's going to take you longer and you acknowledge and accept that, I think it sets you up to have a longer time frame. That I can't change everything all at once. And so let me break it down. Let me start to have more patience. Let me approach this in a way that I can stick with it, as opposed to trying to change everything all at once. And I think this gets to the core of why so many dieters struggle, because they're trying to do too much too quick. And on top of that, their expectations are through the roof and unrealistic. And you put all that together, and I think you have the recipe for failure. I think it's the literal recipe for failure, and completely, 100 miles away from success. So the alternative is to start slower, to realize that this is a longer process. Because the truth is, you don't even know what you don't know when it comes to your weight. And so it takes longer because you have to discover what you don't even know before you can even figure out how to fix that thing. And there are so many things you don't know. I don't mean to discourage you, but I mean to be realistic. There's so many things you don't know and you don't know how to fix. And so this is going to take a little while. But if you approach it that way and you realize this is a never-ending path of improvement where we keep learning things that we're not that good at or challenges, and then we work through them, get good at them, make them automatic, then we move on to the next one, and it never ends. And that stands in contrast to the idea that you can wake up tomorrow on Monday, a completely different version of yourself, completely acting different, just you changed. You changed. Why? Well, because today's Monday. That's not enough reason. And that's not a realistic strategy to get the results you want. And I think when you see it for what it is, hopefully you realize how ridiculous that is. And you stop beating yourself up for not getting the results that you want. And you start blaming the strategy that you have been subconsciously following of, I'm going to change tomorrow. Tomorrow I change 100%. And what I would suggest the alternative is that tomorrow, no, you know what? Scratch that. Today, you change 1%. Tomorrow, another percent. The day after that, another percent, and so on and so forth until it's next year, 5 years from now, and you're at your goal weight. And not only are you at your goal weight, but you're there comfortably in a way that feels sustainable and on near autopilot. That's what I want for you. And it all starts with how you think about this. So if you want to go deeper into this mindset, click the link in my bio or go to Program Yourself Thin. Go get the free hypnosis session I give you. Because in my opinion, that's the first step to walk into this new path, is to start to imagine yourself as the person you want to be. So you can clarify the goal of who you want to be, what you want to look like, how you want to live, and you connect to it so that you feel pulled towards that goal. Because if you focus on it and you imagine it, it becomes magnetic and pulls you towards it. So go check out that hypnosis session. It's completely free. I think you're going to love it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Any weight loss questions are welcome. I'll take questions about anything, any diet, any weight loss issue or strategy or struggle that you may be having. I'm happy to talk about it. This is what I do for a living. This is my mission in life. And so any questions or concerns or challenges you may have with your weight, bring them to me. I eat them like snacks. I'm the cookie monster. I'm the problem monster when it comes to weight. I love problems and I love trying to fix them. Can I fix all of them? No, of course not. But can I fix a lot of them? Yes. And especially when it comes to the typical American dieter. I have studied the typical American dieter like Richard Attenborough has studied wildlife. It is my passion and obsession. So if I can bring any insights or forward momentum to you, that is literally what I live for. What's up, Jackie? Jackie said the advice you said to weigh yourself every day is not working out for me. I think because the changes, pound increases day to day are upsetting, especially since I've been in a deficit. Okay, Jackie, but let's break that down a little bit, right? So we'll start with not working for me. What's that mean? I don't know what that means. I'm going to assume, but you know what they say about assuming. So here I go assuming, correct me if I'm wrong. But when we say it's not working out for me, now, first off, we know, if I'm not mistaken, Jackie, it's been what, 3-4 days that you've been doing this? How many days has it been? I'm pretty sure it's only been a couple. And then what's the not working out for me? I'm going to assume that it's that emotionally you're just freaking out. You're getting too upset. And I'm assuming you're getting upset because you have been putting yourself into a calorie deficit and your weight has been going up or it hasn't been going down enough. But there's been a couple days that you've done it at least day to day, increases day to day. And so this implies, I'm guessing here, that you've been cutting your calories and your weight's been going up the last few days. And it's not working for you because you're getting really discouraged and really upset. A week and a half. Okay, depressing that it's going up. Okay, so a week and a half. So we got 10 days of weighing yourself every day. You have been reducing your calories. You're in a deficit and your weight keeps going up. My first question is, how much has it gone up? So it's been 10 days. How much has it gone up from the first day till the 10th day? Where are we at? Give me a number here, right? And it's depressing, okay? I think that's legitimate. I think that's fair. Now, I want to be clear. When I talk about weighing yourself every day, a big part of it, there's a couple of reasons, but one of the big parts of it is that you get to put your emotions front and center, you know, because what a lot of people do is they have anxiety about the scale and they avoid it. A pound. Okay. So Jackie has been in a calorie deficit for 10 days, steps on the scale every day. And over those 10 days, I'm assuming it's gone up and down, right? Because 1 to 2 pounds. Okay. So during those 10 days, Jackie, sometimes the scale goes up and sometimes it goes down. But overall, over 10 days of a calorie deficit, you are now 1 to 2 pounds higher than the first day. And it's depressing. Okay. But here's the thing. And I don't disagree that it's depressing for you, but it's also accurate. You're actually in the world of data, real data. You're using the same scale. You're weighing yourself every day. It's been 10 days. You believe you're in a calorie deficit and your weight over 10 days has gone up 1 to 2 pounds. Now, I'm going to assume that the weight's fluctuated a little bit during that too. Some days it's gone up, some days it's gone down, but overall you've landed 1 to 2 pounds above. So these are the facts that Jackie has stayed the same usually, went down once, but now it's higher a bit. Okay. Stayed the same usually, went down once, but now it's higher. Okay. So 10 days of weighing herself in a calorie deficit, it's pretty much stayed the same. Once it went down a little bit and then it went up, and now she's 1 to 2 pounds higher at this moment in time, 10 days in. First, I want to say, great job, Jackie. I'm proud of you because I know it's depressing. I totally get that. But listen, if you didn't weigh yourself every day, let me just point this out. If you didn't weigh yourself every day, you weighed yourself the first day, you weighed yourself the 7th day, and you weighed yourself, I guess, 7 days from now. Well, let's just say you weighed yourself the first day and the 10th day, you would have been 1 to 2 pounds up too. How would you have felt then? Depressed, right? Okay. So the depression was never going to be, the weighing yourself every day did not create the depression. The depression right now is because you believe you've been in a calorie deficit for 10 days. And so your weight should be lower, right? How does it make sense that she'll be in a calorie deficit for 10 days and her weight's not lower? It's higher. Folks, how does this make any sense? We got 2 options. One option is she's not in the calorie deficit she thought she was in. But that's only one option and not necessarily the option. That's the one most people jump to. And I think there's validity for that because I think people are pretty bad at actually tracking calorie deficits. But let's just put that to the side. The other reality, the one that I like to focus on, is that you've got no fucking clue, Jackie, how quickly your body releases weight. You got no idea. You got theories. You got 2 pounds a week in your head, but you don't really know what your body does with weight. And now you're in a position. Yeah, Tina follows it up. Body holds it for a little bit and then drops it. It absolutely does with a lot of my clients. Now, everyone's different. This is the most important piece. Everybody's body is different. So, Jackie, here we are, because this is where everyone gets to. Can everyone relate to Jackie? Has anyone out there? Give me some likes if you've ever reduced your calories for a week to 10 days and your weight went up or you didn't lose any weight. Anyone ever had that experience? And then at the end of it, felt completely depressed and discouraged and said, fuck this. It doesn't even work. It doesn't even work. Right? So we've all gotten there. But we got to look at this because this is a pattern that most of you experience not once, not twice, not tens of times, hundreds of times. So what do you do, Jackie? That's the big question. What do you do now? A, it's not the weighing yourself every day. Okay, the weighing yourself every day has nothing to do with your depression. Because if you weighed yourself the first day, weighed yourself the 10th day of being in a calorie deficit and you're 1 to 2 pounds up, you would have been just as depressed. So the weighing yourself every day had nothing to do with that. What the weighing yourself every day did, though, is it's starting to create a much more accurate map in your mind of how your body responds to calorie deficits, perceived calorie deficits. And what you're starting to learn is what your body does, not what you think your body should do, but what it actually does. And what you're starting to learn is that the way you've been eating in 10 days leads to a 1 to 2 pound weight gain. But what I would be fascinated to know is what happens the next 10 days. How can you not be curious about that? What happens the next 20 days? How can you not be curious about that? Because this to me is so essential. It comes down to, I say this all the time, weight loss is extremely inconsistent and unpredictable in the short term. And that is a fact. And dieting has conditioned you to think that that's not a fact, that everyone loses weight the same, that if I create a calorie deficit today, this week, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to be 1 to 2 pounds lighter next week. And it doesn't account for stress. It doesn't account for water weight. It doesn't account for if you had some salt yesterday. It doesn't account for if you had your period. It doesn't account for any of that shit. In your mind, you're just a machine. And if you start cutting calories, it's going to show up in your weight and it's going to go down. But weight loss is not consistent and predictable in the short term. It's not. As you're seeing, Jackie, because what are the options? What happens if you continue this for another month? What do you think is going to happen? Well, we'll never know unless you do it, but chances are that it's going to go down for 1 of 2 reasons, by the way. Back to the 2 reasons I was talking about. Because A, you're going to get more accurate with your calories and you're actually going to create a real calorie deficit. You may already have one, but that's one option. And or B, your body is going to adjust and it's going to release the weight. And all of a sudden, and that's why I'd want to weigh myself every day. Because what if you woke up tomorrow, Jackie, because you don't know. And I want you to acknowledge this. You don't know if you continue to be in a calorie deficit, you have no idea what your body's going to do, because you've got to admit that you're surprised at what the weight's been doing over this week. It's very surprising to you, is it not? It's very surprising to you that you've been in a calorie deficit for 10 days and you're 1 to 2 pounds up. You have no explanation for how that's possible, other than the story that you're probably telling yourself that your body's broken. But other than that, you can't understand the whole time. I don't understand. The weight's been the same. I'm down. Okay, cool. Oh, now I'm up. Huh? You don't know. You do not know. You don't know. And this is your chance to figure it out. Why not weigh yourself every day in a calorie deficit for a month and get real information? What are you going to know in a day? What are you going to know in 10 days? That's nothing. That is nothing. Start playing the piano for 10 days. How good are you going to get? What results are you expecting in 10 days playing the piano? Start playing golf and swinging a club. How good are you going to get in 10 days? I know it feels like a lifetime. I acknowledge that, but it's not. And this is part of you kind of having a more mature approach to it, where you're saying, okay, I know, God damn it, this is frustrating. It's depressing. It's annoying. It's been 10 days, which feels like a long time. Calm down, relax. It's not that long. It's okay. And keep moving forward, because what if you did this for another month? Who knows what you would learn about your weight? You don't know where you'd end up with your weight. What happens tomorrow? You don't know why you put 1 to 2 pounds on, which also means you don't know why you're going to be 1 to 2 pounds down or when it's going to happen. But again, weight loss is inconsistent and unpredictable in the short term, but it's very predictable and consistent in the long term. And so again, 2 things are going on here. You can get better at managing your calories. And again, you're not great at it. You think you are. You think you've been creating a perfect calorie deficit, but that's because you think that, doesn't mean because it's true. So if you continue this for another 20 days, you're going to get better at managing your calories and understanding where they're coming from and tracking them and all the rest of it. And B, you're going to understand your body and weight more. And that's the path I hope you take, because the other one just going to cycle you back. And whether you weighed yourself or not every day is really irrelevant. You could have weighed yourself not at all. Again, you could have done the first day and the 10th day and you'd feel exactly the same, if not worse. At least you spread out the thing, I guess. People can frame it a few different ways, but I hope that helps. What's up, Marta? Marta says, I'm on Mounjaro for insulin resistance. It's challenging sometimes to feel true hunger. My body is very adjusted to weekly injections, so no more weight loss. It's challenging between side effects and true hunger cues. I need to cycle this peptide to slower the dose. Yeah, I get it, Marta. I mean, again, I'm not here to... I'm indifferent to the GLP-1s. Really, honestly, what I'm talking about here really has nothing to do with GLP-1s, because what I'm talking about is bigger than weight loss. I always say Program Yourself Thin's about taking weight loss and wrapping in personal development. So it's really not just about what's on the scale. It's really about becoming the person you want to be and being able to run your own mind and understand your own body so that you can manage your weight. That being said, yes, I mean, there's challenges with GLP-1. And again, these are going to come out in the future, because we're in the literal honeymoon phase of GLP-1s. That's about to end, by the way. I believe it end right at the beginning of this year, because right at the beginning of this year is when you're going to get a huge group of people that have been on the Mounjaro or the GLP-1s for about 16 months. And the magical thing about 16 months is that's when the weight loss stops. Across the board, all the GLP-1s show at 16 months, pretty much the weight loss stops. That's that. And so again, Marta's in this spot where, you've assimilated to the Mounjaro now. And the weight loss has kind of stopped. And that's unfortunate, because it does seem that there's a real floor to the GLP-1 weight loss. And that's an issue that's never talked about, because it hasn't been around long enough. Now, again, you're on it for insulin resistance, so it's a little bit of a different thing as well. But yeah, just stick with it. Keep listening to me, Marta. And again, I think the answer is always to have a holistic, comprehensive approach to managing your weight. So hopefully you can just keep moving forward with what you're doing and still get it to where you want it to go. Yeah, Tina says body holds and then it drops. It's so true. And I know no one wants to hear this. I mean, I've been doing this for over 20 years professionally. So again, I come to you as not just, some influencer who likes read a couple books and talks about weight loss. This has literally been my life, my whole professional career. And if I could tell people one thing, it's that weight loss is inconsistent and unpredictable in the short term. This is why I fucking hate calorie calculators with all my soul. Now, I know that they seem like they're such a great idea, but they're fucking bullshit for the majority of people. For some people, sure, they're going to be exactly accurate. But for most people, they're not going to be accurate because they're just guesstimators. You understand? There is no calculator that can specifically know exactly how much weight you're going to lose. Go look up any metabolic lab study ever done where they put people in a literal fucking chamber and measure the calories in and out for each of them exactly. And guess what happens at the end of the study? This group of people walks out with dramatically different weight losses. Do you know what I'm saying? And I God, this makes me crazy. Why? It makes me crazy because it is one of the foundational pieces that sabotages most people. Because most people go into the dieting and they say, okay, I don't really want to go crazy. If I lose a pound or two a week, I'll be happy with that. Where'd you pull that number from? Where'd you pull that from? And so we go into these with expectations. See, I don't know. What if you go into your diet and you're super stressed? What if you go into your diet and your metabolism's just not running the right way? What if you go into the thing and you're got cortisol levels through the roof? You got insulin issues. You are eating more than you realize. I mean, there's so many different things that are going on. And so if you go into it with this, okay, well, my neighbor did this and lost 2 pounds a week. Who gives a shit? You're a different person in a different body. And if you go in with the same expectation, you're almost guaranteed to come out feeling discouraged and quitting. And I have seen weight loss happen. The majority of the weight loss I see happen for people is very counterintuitive. It happens in fits and spurts. I mean, that's the majority of my clients. What can I tell you? Am I bullshitting you? I'm not. I promise you I'm not. I almost never see weight loss happen like this. I almost never see this happen. What I see is, that's what I see. I see a trend line going down, but I rarely see the straight line of like, oh, I lost another pound today. Oh, I lost another pound this week. I lost another pound. I just never see that. Why? Because you're a human being living a human life. The weight loss you achieve in the dead of winter versus the weight loss you achieve in the middle of summer, you don't think there's going to be any difference? Do you know what I'm saying? And this gets to the core of such a fundamental thing that dieting has broken our brains with, is that we just think of ourselves as robots. We're all the same. And if we do this, we're going to get the same results that person got. And then when we don't, we feel discouraged and destroyed and depressed. And so you have to realize you're a unique being. And on top of that, the weight loss you achieved when you were 25 that you keep referencing, and now you're 55, what are you doing? What are you doing to yourself? Oh my God, it's so much slower. Well, what do you want? I don't know. Okay, so it's slower. Who gives a shit? And this is the problem, because dieting is all about how fast you can get to your goal weight. What I'm talking about is living at your goal weight. So who gives a fuck how long it takes? Because you get there and you stay there. So if it takes you a year, 2 years, 3 years to get to your goal weight, and then you stay there forever, who gives a shit? You've been chasing fast weight loss for literally decades. Is that fast weight loss though? Is fast weight loss of 20 pounds in a month that you put on the next month fast weight loss or no weight loss? And you've got to get out of this mindset, and I know it's hard. I get that. I understand that because we've all been conditioned to just think about it as how fast can we do it? How fast can I do it? How fast can I do it? But it just doesn't work that way. It's the number one thing that's sabotaged people, make them quit. And again, I got empathy for it. Please understand. I get it. I know it's hard to take a lot of action and do stuff and then not get the results you thought you were going to get. But what I'm here to say is, why the fuck did you think you were going to get those results? Because you're getting the results you're getting. How about instead of saying, oh my God, I've been doing this stuff and I haven't lost any weight. I didn't get the results I want. Fuck it, it's not working. And instead you say, these aren't the results I thought I was going to get. What's going on? Let me look at, okay, what am I doing over here? What am I doing here? What am I doing here? Because I know in my mind, if I can figure things out, I'm going to get to where I want to go. How about that mindset? Is that not a better mindset? I know it's hard because I know it's unusual, but just logically, is that not a better mindset? That when you have your expectations, we all have expectations. I get that. But when you don't meet the expectations, instead of that being like the final verdict, oh, it's not working, you say, I thought I was going to do this and that didn't. So let me look at what's going on. I thought I was reducing calories. Let me take a closer look. Oh, I didn't see those there. Or I thought I didn't give myself enough time. Let me give myself some more time, see what happens. I don't know. Yeah, Tina said mine was water. I think that's another example. Again, I'm telling you, folks, weight doesn't work the way you think it does. And that's why I say you should weigh yourself every day. Everyone I know that's weighed themselves every day is surprised at how their weight moves, me included. And that just highlights the point that people have a lot of assumptions and ideas of how their weight works that are completely wrong. And those wrong ideas set them up to be disappointed and discouraged. Again, that's why I do the college thing. Like imagine you started like a PhD program and they're like, oh yeah, you got to do this in a month. Like who would ever do it? You couldn't do it. Not only that, everyone quit. You'd either quit or feel like a failure. So the timing is just an essential part of the whole process of success. You've got to give yourself the time you need. Yeah. Kerrigan says it's so eye-opening. Good. I'm glad. That's what I'm here for. Yeah. Water is salt. Yep. Cassie says, I lose about 800 grams per day when I eat like a normal person. I also lose 800 grams when I'm on a deficit. So every day you're losing 800 grams, Cassie? you must weigh 0 grams now at this point. That can't be true, though. That can't be true. But again, and I that's another thing, too. And I know I don't like to say this because people take it as like I'm being offensive, but this comes from a place of love and it comes from a place of experience. That what people's awareness, especially around weight, is so blatantly wrong. It just pains my soul. And I'm not saying that as an attack. I'm saying that as I was painfully wrong. What we think our body does and why, and in the time frame, is almost always inaccurate. I can't stress that enough. That's why I think weighing yourself every day is really a gift to yourself, because you start to truly see the reality. That's the most real sense you can get of what your weight does. And how are you going to argue that with me? How are you going to argue? No, weighing yourself every week. Well, what happened in between the week? Because like Jackie, what if she weighed herself once a week and she got on the scale the first day? Now maybe this would have been better. Maybe you'll say, "Oh, that's the point, Jim." What if she got on the scale the first day and then the 7th day was the day that she lost the pound? And she goes, "Oh my God, I lost a pound." She wouldn't have said that. She goes, "Oh my God, only a pound." But anyways, let's say I lost a pound. But then the next day she put 2 pounds on. And you say, "See, that's why we should weigh once a week." But you missed all the stuff in between, because what if she got on this? What if it was the opposite? What if she weighed herself the first day and the 7th day she was up 2 pounds? And then the next day she was down 3 pounds, but she never knew that. So what happens when you calorie deficit for a week, step on the scale and it's up 1 or 2 pounds? What do you do, folks? What do you do when that happens? What have you done? Do you just continue motivated, fired up, or are you so destroyed and discouraged that you quit? When if you just stayed on one more day and you weighed yourself, you would have been 3 pounds down, 4 pounds down. And then you say, well, Jim, that's not how it works. Yes, it fucking is how it works. I know that for a fact. You don't know how your weight works. I'm telling you, you don't. I'm telling you, if there's anything I say, I'm willing to let people have whatever opinions they want, but no, your weight doesn't move in any stable fashion. It doesn't move like your gas tank. Like the more you drive, the lower it gets. Not that directly. It's just weird. Your body's weird. It can hold on to weight. It can hold on to water. It can just, I don't know, like there's just a lot of things that can happen that can impact your weight. And again, you dieters are so micromanaging. The people, so I'm especially talking to you folks with the scales with the ounces, and it's like you're so micromanaging the numbers that you really are playing a dangerous game there. And you say, well, Jim, how you said weigh every day? Yeah, weigh every day in a certain mindset. Again, and program yourself thin for those of the people that do weigh every day. And you don't have to, it's just a suggestion. But those are the people that do weigh every day. It's not just about the weight and the number it says. It's also about the thoughts and the emotions it elicits and dealing with those too. But at the end of the day, all it is more data. And more data allows you to have a richer, more robust map of how your body works. How can that ever be bad? I know you're terrified of it, but that's part of the problem. The terror keeps you from really understanding your body. And so a lot of dieters are walking around with this idea that once they do a diet, they should start losing 1 to 2 pounds a week. Why? Anyways, calm down here. All worked up. I wasn't here yesterday. I got a lot of energy built up. What's up, Kent? Kent says I record my weight every day, but look at my 30-day moving average to assess consistency. Now, listen, Kent's a superstar. Kent's doing extremely well with the program. Okay. And so again, I strongly suggest you at least consider what people that are successful do. I do the same thing. Again, I'll measure every day. And if you measure every day, what happens? Let me just share this point, because I know none of you think of this, because you all think of the first week when you measure every day. And it's just gripping. Oh God. Oh. It's so much emotion doing that. Right. But that's the first week. What happens the next month is you've kind of normalized to it a bit. 6 months after, then it's just a part of what you do. It's not the end of the world, because what happens is, how much can your weight go up in a day? I already heard you. I heard you just have 5 pounds, Jim. I might wake up. Yeah, okay. It goes up 5 pounds in one day. Guess what happens the next day? It goes down 4. The next day, 2 down. That's what I'm saying. Your weight never just stays up 5 pounds and then another 5 pounds, another 5. No one puts 15, 20 pounds on in a week. But in your mind, when you don't step on the scale, you can almost imagine that that's what's happening. You maximize it. You terrify yourself. So weighing yourself every day, I think, grounds you to a reality, and it does it in a bite-sized way. Okay, so you put a pound on, because what happens, you put a pound on in a day. Excuse me. When you're paying attention to your weight and you weigh yourself every day, the pattern you start to notice is that, yeah, your weight goes up a pound, down a pound, stays the same, goes down, goes up, stays the same, goes up, goes down. That's what it does. And yeah, you may get annoyed that it's not moving in the direction consistently you want it to, but you also start to realize that it doesn't jump up 5 pounds and then another 5 pounds, another 5 pounds. And so you start to ground yourself. And then what happens, just like Kent said, is you do it for a month and then you start to look at the trends, and the trends almost always are starting to move down. And that's what you want to start focusing on, is the trend lines, not the day-to-day. So again, part of using the scale every day is not just weighing yourself, but it's managing your mindset, your expectations, your time frames, and how you think about this whole thing. So I appreciate you sharing that, Ken. Yeah, Cassie says it's not sustainable, hence I'm here. Okay, good. Yeah, Lane, I agree. I weigh every day. And again, I don't think you hear that message a lot, because the people, a lot of times, I'm not saying I'm the only one that says this, because I know a lot of people say weigh every day, but that message comes wrapped in that very obsessive, punitive, hyper managed, focused way that a lot of fitness trainers and just real intense. So I'm talking about, yes, using the scale every day, but doing it in a more gentle way, like stepping on the scale just as a point of reference. But literally half of you is doing it to see what the number is, and half of you is doing it to just stay relaxed and calm, and using that as an opportunity to refocus and clarify why it did what it did. So there's more to it, but I get it. A lot of times when you hear the way every day, it's part of that micromanaging everything, that punitive, that energy. And I want to make clear that that's absolutely not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about using the scale. Metaphorically, you want the scale to feel like the speedometer of your car. You're not terrified to look at the speedometer of your car. You use it as a measurement system, right? So that's what I want you to feel the scale as, not this punitive thing where you're whipping yourself or celebrating just because of what it says. Intelligent Gut says, oh, I like that. Can you talk about the correlation between gut health and metabolism for weight loss? Yeah, I think gut health and I think is essential for managing your weight. And I say managing your weight opposed to weight loss, because I think weight loss is a short-term process. And it really is, right? Weight loss is just the first phase of your ultimate goal, folks. Your goal is not to lose weight. Please understand this. If you get nothing else out of what I'm saying, your goal is not to lose weight. I know that lands on you like, what are you talking about? Yes, it is. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because you've all lost weight and then put it back on. So technically that means you reached your goal. You lost weight. You say, oh, that's not what I mean, Jim. I know that's not what you mean. So say what you mean and mean what you say. And what you really want is to live at your goal weight. You don't want to get there one day and then start putting the weight back on, which is how most of you internalize weight loss, because you just think about weight loss. You think of that one phase, but the weight loss is just one phase of a much bigger goal. This is living at your goal weight. This is the weight loss part of it. And you all are focused in on that part. That's your whole life. And so we need to put that in its proper context and realize it's just the first phase. And this is the sweet stuff. And this is what we're building towards, this part. So that you're able to get to your goal weight and then live there on near autopilot. But when we just think about weight loss, it frames it differently. So when we talk about gut health, I think gut health is essential more for living at your goal weight. Okay. And so, yes, can it support weight loss? Well, sure. But I don't think because I think when I think gut health, I think of long-term personally. And I don't think you can just change your gut health, and I think that's the thing. Oh, you take this supplement, do this here. I think it's bullshit. I think true gut health comes from eating whole natural foods primarily, eating less artificial processed foods. I think that's the beginning of true gut health, and it's a long-term thing. And yes, I think that affects your metabolism in 50 different ways. But again, when you eat whole natural foods, not only is it changing your metabolism, but it's changing what's being metabolized. So again, it's a two sides of the coin perception. And I think that's important to state, because I think a lot of people just think, well, I'm going to boost my metabolism, but they're not really thinking about, well, what is it metabolizing? And so I like to think of both of those at the same time. And I think they're two sides of the same coin. They both affect each other because as you start eating more whole natural foods, you tend to naturally improve metabolic disorders and gut health, right? But simultaneously, you're also consuming less calories. You're consuming calories that are in their natural food matrix. So they're absorbed in a completely different way than processed foods. And I think all of that absolutely supports your ability to manage your weight more effectively. So I think, and I could go way deeper into that, but I definitely think gut health is just so important of a factor. What's up, Karen? Yeah, Intelligent Gut says yes, regulation. Whole food supports that, helps digestion and gets the body moving and working properly. Yes, exactly. Yeah, regulated metabolism, regulated gut system. And I think that work is so underrepresented in weight loss. And another word for that, going in deeper of it, is the microbiome. I think, understanding the microbiome, it's so fundamental to your reality. It's so fundamental to weight and health. And it's overlooked. It's a relatively new concept, but I think understanding that and building around that is only going to support you. Yeah, feed those microbes. Exactly. You have a microbiome, and people that have a whole natural food diet have a much different microbiome than people that have a sugar-laden processed food diet. And so it's such a fundamental. It's the engine of you. It's literally your engine is your gut. And so I think understanding that and really focusing on developing a healthy one, I think, and the benefits are profound. I mean, the gut thing is so profound to me. It's the belly brain on top of it. It's just so interesting. It's like, it's almost like metaphysical. It's like there's so much happening down there that's like kind of unknown. And I don't think we're going to know in our lifetimes maybe. So I think it's important just to start doing it because the benefits you get are just amazing. But even your moods, it produces serotonin. I mean, just so much good stuff. Cause it's like, again, a lot of times people just tell me what to eat and I'll eat it. No, it's bullshit. Your moods are going to dictate what you eat as well. And so when you start not just cutting calories, but really transforming the quality of your foods, the primary initial thing it does is it starts to transform your gut. And that transformation of gut, not only does it, affect absorption of calories, blood sugar, your weight, how you're utilizing calories, how you're getting rid of it and what you're getting rid of, but it also affects your moods tremendously. It has a huge impact on your moods. And when your moods are better and brighter, you tend to have a much easier time eating well. So again, the microbiome thing to me is a very specific way to focus on the holistic nature of changing your weight, right? Yes. And I'm glad you said that, Intelligent Gut. Microbiome thrive on fiber. Different fiber types do different things in the body. I can't stress that enough. I say this all the time. And we're in the age of, protein is the main thing focused on right now. They're always focusing on something. They never focus you on fiber, and I would say for the average American, the number one thing missing from your diet is fiber. Fiber is the number one thing. And I don't think it's ever going to be promoted anywhere near the level of protein because fiber doesn't process well. And so fiber has really just been, I think of fiber as a macronutrient and right up there with protein, carbs, and fat. And fiber to me in my life, adding fiber into my life, different kinds, as Intelligent Gut says, has been the most profound shift I've had in my body. I've gone from meat eater to vegetarian. Adding more fiber into my diet consistently has been the number one shift I've made in my diet. And I believe that most of you want to talk about protein being satisfying. You want to talk about food noise and hunger with GLP-1s. Don't even come near me with that shit until you start eating more fiber. And I say this all the time. I would say the average American is going to be way more benefited by adding more fiber to their diet. Whole food, natural fiber, by the way. There's different types of fiber, as I just said. You're going to do way better with your weight and your health adding more fiber into your diet than you are adding a lot more protein. Again, I say this all the time, this fucking protein thing makes me insane, because you get these people, we've gone to the point where they're literally just eating meat. The healthiest populations on the planet in the modern world, without question, are high carb diets. High carb, low protein. And it's not even a question. So I know this may come as a shock to some of you. The healthiest populations on earth are high carb diets. Now, the carbs they're eating are whole natural food carbs, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans. Those are the healthiest populations on the planet. It's not even close. Go look up the blue zones. It's not even close. There literally isn't a healthy giant population of protein eaters. No one in the world eats high protein diets because they're extremely expensive. So I don't know what population carnivores are looking at to base their whole diet on. But we're in the carb scare of 2026, which has been going on for 50 years, I guess. But again, what we're really looking for is fiber, in my opinion. I think if you had to look at just one thing you were going to change in your diet to make the biggest difference, I'd say be fiber. Yes. Yes, downstream effects. Yes, I like that. Yeah, okay. Intelligent Gut says we're actually 95% deficient in fiber. I would not, I don't know that statistic personally, but I would not doubt it. I just think, again, if you look at your diet, and I'm not talking about Metamucil, I'm not talking about fiber supplements, I'm talking about fiber in your foods. And again, what it really comes down to, because a lot of people say, what's fiber? And I know you can kind of have a sense what fiber is. How do I get more fiber? Fruits, vegetables, greens, beans, grains, whole grains. You know what I mean? Like there you go. And the more you put that in there, the better. I don't know. Now, again, I know some people have gastrointestinal issues. So you know, listen, I'm a guy on TikTok. I'm not a dietitian. I'm not telling you what to eat. You have to obviously take into your own account. But for the average American, I think the fiber is the number one issue with your diet. Yeah, satiety, exactly. And a lot of people don't even know the word satiety. You know, they know food noise, right? We have food noise drummed down our fucking brains for the last 2 years, but they don't know the word satiety. And yeah, once you start understanding fiber, microbiome, satiety, I think weight loss becomes a whole lot easier. You know, it's certainly you can become much more strategic with it, but you're not taught that, folks. Again, I can't stress this enough. The diet industry is not your friend. The diet industry is a branch of the food processing industry. Weight Watchers was owned by Heinz. Jenny Craig was owned by Nestle. Atkins Food Products owned by the same company owns Onions, Pretzels, and Cinnabon. Slim Fast owned by the same company owns Ben & Jerry's ice cream. These companies don't give a shit about your weight. They don't care about your health. They don't want you to eat less of their foods forever. And so you're constantly getting weight loss messages that are always about like one thing. And they always miss the big, if they wanted to pick one thing that actually would make a difference, it would be add more natural fiber into your diet. You've never heard that. And you always get like, add more protein, cut sugar, cut carbs. It's all bullshit, you know, and it's no wonder you're confused. But yeah, following the fiber thread, I think you'll find some real solid ground to build on, you know, and yeah, the satiety. You know? With some of the best fiber foods, I've been incorporating sweet potatoes. Yeah, like you know, Intelligent Gut just wrote good. Yeah, fruit, vegetables, seeds, nuts, beans, whole grains. These are all great sources of fiber, and they taste good. They're cheap. Okay, I don't know how much money you all got, but it's like if you want to save some money, change your diet, start eating more whole natural foods. It's way cheaper. This idea that healthy foods are expensive is fucking bullshit, and especially now after COVID. I mean, the price of processed foods is through the roof. The price of whole foods is relatively stable. I will put my diet, I spend less on food, I guarantee, than any of you. It has to be. I have a loaf of Ezekiel bread, rice, beans, lettuces, grain. It's cheap stuff and it's satisfying. That's the key. The foods they promote to you are not satisfying because they want you to eat more of them. It's kind of basic business, you know? Yes, we removed fiber from the food in World War II. Yeah, well, I think as well, I think a lot of it comes down to the processing of food. You know, we live, you know, 100 years ago, our food completely changed. And the biggest part of that is that we started to rely on processed foods from companies, and fiber does not process well. So they stripped it out. And I think, I'm sure there's more to it, but that's the big one. Yes, and fiber diversity as well. Yes. Yeah, fiber is not what we're taught, not in the drugstore. Yes, agreed. Yes, yeah. The fruit is cellular hydration. It's water, minerals, fiber, and natural sugars. Yes, and that's kind of back to the food matrix idea. And I remember reading a book one time. I don't know if I buy into this one, but it was almost like they're trying to say there's a fourth state of water. And what were they calling, like gel water or something? And yeah, I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. But I do know one thing, that in throughout human history, most of our hydration came from the foods we ate. Right? Because the foods, whole natural foods, have a lot higher water content. And if you look at processed foods, they strip the water of it because they go bad if there's water content in it. And so they strip the fiber, strip the water, and these foods don't have the two main things you need for healthy, happy, satiety making foods, you know? So yes, I do think cellular hydration, as I understand it, again, I couldn't get into the science of it, but I think a lot of it's the like the food matrix of it. You know, there's a difference when you eat an apple. The hydration is bound to the fiber. It's bound to the cell walls of the apple you're eating. So you don't absorb it all at once. You absorb it differently. And I think that leads to a better level of health for most people. Yeah, to preserve shelf life. Exactly. Um, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The viscous fibrous creates a gel substance. And so I think that book kind of overstated it, but I think that's valuable. I think that it's a different form of hydration and it's a very natural one. That I always really, that's one of the cores of how I think about food is what's natural. What have we been eating for a long time? And we've been eating whole natural foods. And the concept that they have a lot more hydration in them and that hydration's packed in cellular walls is real. I mean, I don't have to, I'm not a scientist, I promise you. And I get that. That makes sense to me. And so it means that you absorb it differently. You absorb it slower. And I think that that plays a part in the overall health, you know? Yeah, it carries nutrients and protects. I believe that. Yeah, dried, not fried, for sure, for sure. Yep, hydrates the cells. Yes, yes. Yeah, water alone is volume. And again, I think that serves a purpose too, but I do believe that. I believe that eating your hydration is really the primary way that we hydrate ourselves. And I think if you all look through that lens, how much hydration are you consuming a day? I know I wasn't consuming very much of it, you know? And as I started changing that, I mean, it's transformative in a way that exceeds language. Like, honestly, I'm not trying to be dramatic, but it's that dramatic. I think that's one of the biggest conspiracies of all time, in a sense. You know, our food has so completely transformed in 100 years. It just defies any logic. It's just unbelievable. Never in history of humans on earth has our food changed as much as it had in the last 100 years. And it's gone from literally one thing to completely different. And the biggest shift of all, again, is I would say, if you had to pick one thing that's different, I would say the fiber's been taken out of it. You got no more fiber in it. And a lot of things flow from that. Jane says, for some reason, it's not showing on Facebook right away. I did, I looked up the notifications and there are ways to notify people. So I got to research that a little bit. I'm going to send out something that kind of lays it out for you all. So if you want to get notified when this goes live, I'll let you know. Tina says, I weigh every day, walk every day, picture myself at my goal weight, drink water, protein, veggies, and carbs in that order. Great job. And I'm sure you're doing great, Tina. That's a great strategy. Yep. Jane says, I'm thinking of fasting until tomorrow so I can get back on track. My weight is just going up. Fasting until tomorrow. I mean, you knock yourself out, Jane. I think when people fast to lose weight, I feel like it just restarts the whole thing over again. So you're going to struggle to, restrict for the rest of the day or tomorrow or whatever. And then tomorrow's going to come and you're going to be really hungry and you're going to overeat and then you're going to be upset and you're going to try and fast. And so whatever, I'm not saying fasting is always bad. I think it has a time and a place for sure. But I think that, when you go to fast, like if you go to fast just to kind of clear the decks and kind of get yourself ready, okay. But I'll give you an alternative that I think is better than fasting for most people. When you get in that spot where you went overboard and the weight's going up and you're feeling frustrated, you feel like you need a reset, I want to give you another alternative. And if you want to fast, knock yourself out and you love fasting and it's great for you, you go ahead and do that. But another alternative is that you do like a fruit fast or a whole food fast. So, you're allowed to eat, but you can only eat whole natural foods. I think that's a much better strategy because that's going to set you up long-term. The idea of fasting to me is just like a short-term thinking. And I don't love it, but you do you, and it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, it's just experimentation. Do it, see what happens, and then adjust accordingly. Tina says she does that if I mess up down 60 pounds. So it works for Tina is what we know there. Okay. That doesn't mean it's going to work for you, Jane, but go test it out and see what happens. Oh, look at this. Tina says, I lose inches instead of weight before the weight came off. Okay. So that's coming from Tina, who's lost 60 pounds. And Tina just said, I lose inches before the weight comes off. Well, how does that make sense, folks? That doesn't make any sense, right? That doesn't make sense in your heads. But that's what Tina, who's lost 60 pounds, just said. And that is very consistent with what my clients always say. So again, I know you all have a rock solid belief that you know how weight works in your body and you lower your calories and the weight lowers accordingly. But that is one of the most toxic, unhelpful beliefs you can have. And I appreciate you saying that, Tina, that weight loss moves in ways you don't understand. And I think the sooner you accept that, the quicker you kind of get to a state of curiosity where you say, oh, how does weight move in my body? How does my body respond to a reduction in calories? How long does it take? What happens? So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, Marta says, I agree. No more weight loss. Yes. And it kind of sucks. I know that's a big, surprising, discouraging thing for a lot of people on the GLP-1s is to find out that you get 16 months and that's it. Then you're there forever. And if you go off the GLP-1s, well, we all know what happens there. So, that just keep that in mind. And again, like I said, it's the honeymoon period's coming to an end. We've only had good things from GLP-1s so far, and now we're going to get a much more balanced view of it. And I'm going to appreciate watching that. I want everyone to succeed. All you people on GLP-1, I want you to be your goal weight. Please understand, I'm not saying this from a place of hating. I'm just saying it from a place of reality. Anita says, practicing my mindset by eating one cookie a day as a snack. Only one, not two or three, or the whole sleeve, just one. Practicing so I can get to Carnegie Hall. Nice job, Anita. I appreciate that. That's awesome. And that's a great practice, right? Because that's a long-term practice. That's set up for long-term success. Yes, Tina says it's mindset. Again, coming from someone who's dropped 60 pounds. All right. Tina says this guy has facts. I like that. Yes, I do have facts. I really do. I don't know all the facts, but I got a lot of the key facts that'll help you genuinely change your weight. That is true. Marta says no more tracking and calorie counting. I'm down 4 pounds. I think that's great. And not only are you down 4 pounds, but you're down 4 pounds in a way that's more sustainable and manageable because you're not overwhelming yourself with having to consistently track and calorie count every little thing. So that's a double win, Marta. Great job. Lois says mindset's so important, and I agree. If it takes a year or more to get to goal weight is okay. It took years to gain the weight. Lois, I think that's a very enlightened thing to say, and I couldn't agree more. Right? Oh, great, Marta. Marta says I'm dropping my GLP-1 dose to half and increasing fiber. I think that's wonderful, Marta. I think that is a brilliant, enlightened strategy, and I love to hear that. Okay, I love that, and so I'm so curious to see what your experience is with that. So keep me updated with that. But I think that's really smart. You know, I'm right says, have you struggled quitting sugar? And if so, how did you stop? I think the problem right off the bat is in the term quitting sugar for most people, because I think most people, if they're really honest with themselves, don't want to quit sugar. Because what's quit sugar mean? It means you never eat sugar again. And I don't think most people want to never eat sugar again. So I think right off the bat, it's not a real congruent goal. I believe that. He says, so what am I supposed to do? I know I'm going to say it and you're going to rebel against this, but I'm going to say you moderate sugar. I think that's the better option. I think you're going to find that's the more congruent option. Because I'll give you two choices. Would you like to be at your goal weight with no sugar ever again? Or would you like to be living at your goal weight with occasional sugar that you can enjoy? And I don't know which one you're going to pick, but I know which one I pick. And you say, well, I can't moderate, Jim. If I eat one thing, I eat all the sugar. And it's like, oh, what have you done to moderate? Tell me your strategies for moderating that you've tried so far. Huh? What have you done to moderate? Well, I try to eat just one thing. Oh, okay. Well, that's not a moderation strategy. A moderation strategy really is a holistic one, And so I think that there's a lot of ways to deal with sugar. Now, I will be clear too. Sugar wasn't my core challenge. My core challenge was carbs, bread specifically. But I ate a lot of sugar. I mean, to the point, I used to have 2-3 cavities every time I went to the dentist until I was like 18 years old. So I ate a lot of sugar, even though I don't say that as a primary, like really hard challenge for me. But that being said, I think it sounds noble and exciting to say I'm just going to quit sugar. But I think if you reflect on that, most of you have realized you've been saying you're planning or wanting to quit sugar for decades. And so I will give you an alternative that why not play around with moderating sugar? Meaning whatever sugar you typically eat, what if we cut that by 20% this month for the next couple months until it's comfortable? Then we dial it down another 20%. And now I know you said, well, yeah, that's not going to fix things. Okay, well, then go ahead and quit sugar. So I just find for most people, quitting sugar is not something they want to do. You want to live a life where you never eat a piece of cake or never have a dessert again? Is that what you're telling me? I don't think most people are going to sign up for that. Again, remember, your goal weight is not just a number on a scale. It's a quality of life. And if the only thing that mattered was the number on the scale, none of you would be here. Your quality of life matters. And I think for most people, never eating sugar again is not a good quality of life for them. It's not a good quality of life for you. You're choosing the sugar over the weight right now. So why not consider the option that you could dial the sugar down by 20%, work on that, get good at it, dial it down by another 20%, get good at that, dial it down another 20%, get good at that. And then maybe you're all set. You're at your goal weight. And now you can live a life where you have sugar moderately. And you say, how? Okay, that's a little bit more of a process, but I would say that's a much better goal to start at than just getting rid of it. But Intelligent Gut says if you replace fake sugar with fruit sugar, it helps retain signals and eases cravings. Yes, I agree. And I think that's a great strategy too. And that's part of because again, I mean, and here's another thing too, just by the way, for you sugar people, I think a lot of you just say, oh, I got to quit sugar with the same mindset you have of that it's struggling with sugar. I think the first thing you do about sugar is understand it. I think most people don't understand that sugar, as it's normally talked about, is really table sugar, which is actually glucose and fructose. Okay. So it's actually the fructose is the sweet part. That's the fruit sugar, the natural one, which operates completely different in your body. And so again, I think that's just a simple, again, now I didn't go into that level of like a specific strategy, which I appreciate you actually kind of sharing that. I was kind of talking more on a high level mindset strategy, but yeah, that's a great way to, when I was talking about dialing the sugar down, specifically dialing the table sugar down, because the table sugar is probably coming in the forms of candy bars and ice cream and whatever else. So, it's not just the sugar, it's the sugar, the fat, the calories that you're consuming. So if instead of, when I say dialing down the sugar by 20%, a way that strategy could present itself is that, you used to eat a bag of cookies in the afternoon. And now instead of eating a bag of cookies in the afternoon, you have an apple. You still have your dessert after dinner and you still have other stuff, but you just focus on that one. And so, that's a strategy I would do because I think it's set up for longer term success. So I'm glad you gave me the specific though. Yeah, fasting's a stress signal. I agree too. I don't fast. I find it very stressful and I find it just disorients and disrupts everything. And I think that's exactly what it's going to do for you, Jane, if I had to guess. But I'm not here to tell you that. I'm here to encourage you to go do it, but then pay attention to how you respond to it over the next 2 days. If I fast, I tend to overeat afterwards, but that's me. Some people fast and then they're right back on track. So, you got to realize what works for you, but you got to experiment to figure that out too. Right. Kerrigan says, oh, Carrie, that's you. You changed your name. I got you. Fiber, hold on to water, which the body absorbs when you just drink water or only eat meat. Yeah, exactly. Your body just flushes it out and you need fiber to help. Yep. I agree with all that. Oh man, intelligent gut. We're saying all the same stuff. Yeah, I love this too. Following circadian rhythms is better. Stop eating 2 to 3 hours before bed so we repair. I can't stress that enough. And that, I always call it nighttime fasting. So you have to be specific because intermittent fasting has become like trademark, and it's usually associated with 16 hours. And of course, people just have to jump into 16 hours. I was lucky. I started fasting 30 years ago and I just made it up myself, but I call it nighttime fasting. And what it really means is not eating 2 to 3 hours before bed. And that was one of the biggest behavioral shifts I ever made in my life. Now I am earlier before that now. I'm probably 4 or 5 hours before bed now. But I started off half an hour, 2 hours, so on. But I think that's another great strategy as well. Yep. Otherwise the body's digesting instead of repairing. Exactly. And, digestion's an enormous use of energy. So when you're sitting there trying to sleep and repair and recover, it's like your body's running a marathon. So they're battling each other and you're going to wake up tired, eat more bullshit, sleep worse the next night. Yes, exactly. There's good sugar, bad sugar. Our body's no fruit sugar, whole fruit sugar. Yep. What's up, Tabby? Absolutely. I still have sugar, but in moderation, down 68 pounds. So if you can have it, yes. Thanks. I really appreciate you saying that, Tabby, because I think people need to hear that and believe it. Again, dieting is always this all or nothing mentality. But it rarely works. And the real way that works is kind of that middle ground. And people resist it because they think they're not going to get the fastest results. But I think it's the way forward for long-term results. Definitely. Oops. Let me see there. Kiwi helps the body get into REM. That's cool. I did not know that. And that reminds me, I have not been eating kiwis. I've been looking for like a new fruit to kind of play around with. I think kiwi might be it. So I appreciate you saying that too. Jackie says, how without calorie counting? Yeah. Okay. First of all, Jackie, calorie counting is not the perfect answer it seems to be. Because A, people are notoriously bad at tracking calories, A, and B, calorie things on the nutrition labels are estimated to be off by 20%, frozen foods off by 30%, just right off the bat. So just calorie counting is not the perfect answer all the time. It certainly can be helpful. And if you really micromanage it, you know what I mean? Like you should be able to lose some weight, but it's not usually a sustained strategy. So in Program Yourself, then we kind of structure it in a more intuitive way. And I use intuitive, not intuitive eating. That is a whole system that's really not what we're talking about here. But Yeah, it's kind of looking at how you typically eat, Jackie, and kind of intuitively saying, where do I input the most calories, right? What habits do I have that show up daily or weekly, multiple times, where I'm bringing in the most calories, and then you start working on dialing that down, optimizing it. So you can absolutely lose weight without calorie counting. I did it. I lost over 50 pounds without counting calories. I hate counting calories. I would never do it. Jane says, last time I tried it, I lasted until the late afternoon and then started eating. So maybe I will give up on the idea of fasting all day today. It was just an idea because I'm frustrated with my poor eating habits. I get that, Jane. I understand that it's frustration, but sit with the frustration. Don't fight it off by doing some stupid strategy you've tried a bunch of times that doesn't work for you. I know it's uncomfortable for you, Jane. I get it. But again, we've been talking, you're doing the dieting thing. Like you're a pendulum where you're swinging from overeating to over restricting. And you're in that mindset. You can see it in your behaviors, right? You go from 3 chocolate bars every night to now I'm not going to eat anything all day. Right. So it's presenting in your life as this drastic shift in calorie and eating, but it's reflecting your drastic, you're all over the place with your thinking. Your behaviors are following your thinking, and your thinking is frenetic. You're not grounded and calm. You're not looking at things from a calm, relaxed point of view. You're caught in this frazzled. Oh my God, the scale's not going down. I got to stop eating. It's breathless. I can't even hear you, but it's breathless. I can feel it. I can feel it through the screen, Jane. And Jane says that is true. I know it's true. I can feel it. And so I know it's like, that's why I say, like, and again, I'm not throwing fasting out just completely, because if you were going to fast and you're like, I'm going to fast, I'm going to quiet down, I'm going to spend some quiet time with myself and bring everything down, then maybe I'd say, yeah, fasting's the right answer. But I know it's not that. I know it's this white knuckle. I'm not going to eat today. I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to eat. I hate this. And where does that come from? Like, once you get done with all of this, where do you think you're left? You're left starving and hungry and depleted, and now you're going to overeat. And then it just starts the whole cycle over. So my suggestion is to do something different, do something you haven't done before. And by the way, that could be the fruit, the whole natural food fast. If you want to get yourself back on track, make a promise to yourself that you'll only eat whole natural foods for the rest of the day. That's a less extreme fasting thing that will probably give you way better benefits. Okay. But again, ultimately, Jane, it is the psychology and the nervous system of being just so frazzled and overactivated. Bring it back down. Listen to a hypnosis session. Calm down. You're not in a sprint here. This isn't a sprint, Jane. I don't give a fuck. If you started the program a month ago and you're like, oh my God, I lost 30 pounds, I would be terrified for you. I wouldn't be happy for you, because it would just be, it's like manic depression. It'd be like, you're just on this side of it now. Now I know the other side's coming back. I want you to ground yourself down here. Get off of this craziness and start living down here. And it starts now when you're kind of really worked up. Relax. You're making this all about the scale, and the scale is a lagging indicator. It's following your mindset, and your mindset's following your behaviors, and then your behaviors lead to your weight. Relax, calm down. You've got something to work on now, Jane. You got the chocolate bars. 3 chocolate bars to 1 chocolate bar is more than enough for you to work on this week. And I know you're impatient. I get that. But you got to start to have a conversation with yourself about the impatience, because the impatience is the number one thing that's keeping you in an overactivated nervous system that's preventing you from being able to move forward, because you're burning up all your energy before you can get yourself to move forward. Jane says, I will do that. Good, Jane. And again, I care for you very much. So I really appreciate you getting on here and saying this stuff. And I appreciate your resilience in showing up. And so I get that. All right. Marta says, I truly appreciate these daily meetings and all the information. You're making a difference in my perception of dieting. I'm hopeful again. Oh, that makes me so happy, Marta. And to all of you that are here, please go deeper into this. I give you a free hypnosis session, a free training. I give you a bunch of free stuff. This is a mission for me. And so my mission is to help people live at their goal weight, as many people as possible. But to get there, I know the first thing I do is get you off the diet train, get you off the diet mindset. And that's one of the most fulfilling things for me, is to help good, hardworking, honest people that want to do good stuff and are willing to do it, realize that what they've been spinning their wheels with is just a train to nowhere, right? It's just a trap. That's dieting. And I want to show you that there's a better way, a better approach that not only gets you better results, but feels better along the way. So that makes me really happy, Marta. Thank you for saying that. Jane says, I wish you could see how much I'm laughing at myself right now. I really appreciate that response, Jane, because that's what we want. We want to laugh. We're fucking idiots, folks. they don't take that personally. Like, I'm a fucking idiot. Like in my whole path of getting my weight under control has been littered with me realizing I'm a fucking idiot. What am I doing? What am I doing? You know? And it's like, so I love that you're saying that, Jane, because we're not, please don't take yourself too seriously. I think dieters, they get so serious. Relax. I think honestly, the path of mastering your weight is really consistently realizing what a fucking clown you are. I'm using my own language. This is how I talk to myself. So please don't take this on yourself. But it is like our own ignorance or our own patterns that we get caught in and we don't realize it. When all of a sudden we realize it, don't get mad at yourself. Don't beat yourself up. It's funny, you know, and that's the point of this, is that we keep evolving and growing into better versions of ourselves. And the way through that, though, is that we keep realizing the dumb shit we do. We all do dumb stuff. That's why we're not getting the results we want. But what dieters do is we double down on the dumb shit and program yourself. Then the goal is to realize, no, come on, relax. Look what you're doing, you know, and it's funny. It really is funny. So that makes me so happy. Yeah, Jane says, I'm that clown. So am I. I mean, again, and by the way, I want to make one other point. I'm not so clowny with my eating anymore. Like I've kind of figured out a lot of it with like the food and the weight part of it. But I want you to understand that there's other areas of my life that I'm working on, and I have struggles, and I'm working on those areas. It's the same process every single day. There's things that I'm looking at about myself. I'm like, you fucking clown. What are you doing? But I love that. Like, and I laugh about it. It's not, you fucking, what are you doing? You bad. You know what I mean? Like the energy is totally different. And so I think all of you are going to find that when you go to work on something in your life that you're not getting the results you want, or you're not consider yourself very good at, that it's like a big part of that process is realizing that what you thought you had to do, what you've been trying to do, isn't the right stuff. And so once you realize that, instead of beating yourself up, you laugh about it. You know what I mean? It's a whole different energy, and it makes the whole process a lot more enjoyable. So I appreciate you saying that. Mara says, I'll keep you on the post on the GLP-1s. Yes, thank you, Marta. I appreciate that. All right. Oh. Yep. Yes. It's not about the calories. It is true. It is true. I mean, it is about the calories, but it's not about the calories, right? I think people always look at that, the calories, that's the only thing. But that if you only think it's the calories, that really sets you up for failure, because then you'll eat bullshit food and just try to cut the calories down. But the bullshit food makes it hard to cut the calories down for a bunch of reasons. So very true. Yes. Communication system, the body, whole food equals proper signals. Agreed. I can't agree more. And I think that's such a good point, because I think a lot of people have a broken diet and it's foundationally setting you up for failure, but you're just trying to manage that. You're making it so hard for yourself. This is why the diets never go. There's not a diet out there that's popular that's really all about whole natural foods. Not really, right? It's always about eat the same foods, just cut the carbs out. Eat the same foods, just eat more protein. Eat the same foods, just cut the sugar down. You know, no, you do, I think, have to fundamentally transform your quality of calories, because that's going to make the whole process easier. You know, unless you just have 24 hours a day to focus on calories and micromanage it. If you don't, you need to get your food working with you, you know, as opposed to working against you. It says, hi, 54-year-old female, menopause, 180 pounds currently, 150 goal, moderate exercise, insomnia, fatigue. Well, there's no question there, but good luck. Yep, modern food disrupts those signals. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Layla says, day 4 of my cut, I'm way less bloated, but I need to be shredded. That's really not what we're talking about here. You know, again, I honor your journey, and that's great. But yeah, this is more about kind of lifelong living at your goal weight. So it's a little bit different. Yep. Mediterranean diet. It's nice. Yeah. I love the Mediterranean diet. I think the Mediterranean diet is one of the real solid ones. But again, I just want to make the point too, that the Mediterranean diet on its own isn't going to help any of you. Sorry to say, you know, again, we've all known about the Mediterranean diet. I could give you that diet and it ain't going to help shit, because you have to get your mindset right. You have to get your lifestyle right. And then you got to figure out how to implement the Mediterranean diet in a way that works for you. So two things are true at the same time, right? All right. Lois says, relaxing is helping many areas of my life. I actually had someone comment on how good I look and how relaxed I am. That's great, Lois. And I really appreciate your journey, because you really are good at measuring things other than just the weight. So I think that's also such a great strategy. So cool. All right, everyone, I gotta get out of here. Again, if you're not in my world, please go get the free hypnosis session I give you. It is it's in my bio. If you're on TikTok, you can go click the picture of me in the top left there and click that picture and you'll see the link. If you are on YouTube or Facebook, I just put the link in there. Go get it. Take you 5 seconds. You'll be in my world. You get a free hypnosis session. I give you a bunch of free stuff. and I'm here every Monday through Friday. So I'm here every weekday. I wasn't here yesterday, sorry, but I'm here every weekday, and I'm here to help you. I really am. Like literally, this is a mission for me, and that's why I get here, and I'm happy to help you every day and talk to you and get to know you and move you forward in any way I can for complete free, because this is really important to me. And if you can't make the live, you can also, it's a podcast. You can go to any podcast platform, search Program Yourself Thin. It'll pop up. There I am. Go listen to it anytime you want. And finally is the book, The Tao of Living at Your Goal Weight. That is my book. 40 chapters. Each chapter is a page or two. Each chapter is a hypnotic story designed to transform the way that you think about food, your weight, yourself, and help you not only lose weight, but live at your goal weight. So go check that out. It's at Amazon. It is, I think, $2.99 for the Kindle and $9.99 for the physical version. Probably the best money you'll ever spend. People have told me this is the best weight book they've ever read in their lives. And we have over 82 5-star reviews. So yeah, go check that out. And yes, The Intelligent Gut. Thank you. I really enjoyed chatting too. And yeah, you got great information. So go check out The Intelligent Gut if you got a program or something. And I don't think I've ever said that. I don't think I've ever actually promoted another program. But everything The Intelligent Gut said, I've agreed with, and that has never happened. I've been doing this live in this podcast for over 3 years. And yeah, there's a lot of smart people, a lot of dipshits, but a lot of smart people. But I really like what The Intelligent Gut's saying. And so if they do have a program, go check them out too, because it looks like they get a lot of good wisdom as well. So all right, I want to have a super duper day, and we'll talk soon. Bye.